Teddy Covers in the house. Teddy Covers coming to us live from Las Vegas. We've had him all week, and there's so much to cover. It's so funny, Teddy. We could have you for 2 hours today and not get through everything we need to cover. How are you doing on this Friday morning?
I'm doing pretty good, Jimmy, but I know that there's a lot of games that people are interested in multiple sports. So just fire away. I'll try to do quick hitters today and not go on and on if I can, so we can answer as many questions as possible, because I know you guys out in the chat have some questions. So, but pretty good, Jimmy. How about yourself? How did you make out last night?
Last night was okay, slightly up in NHL. I added 3-3 in college basketball. I went 1-1-1 in NHL, but the one win was a nice big plus line, -1.5. And then, well, not huge, it was a favorite that so it's like a plus 160 for show purposes. I bet it at 150. And then 0-1 in NBA betting wise, 0-2 on the show. I love the Giannis Antetokounmpo under 52.5 points, rebounds, and assists. While we talked about it on the show, and it was at -120 at my book. When I went to bet it, it was at -160. That was just like an hour, 45 minutes later. So I didn't bet it, thankfully, because he did go over it. But I did like the capping and the look on that. But overall, let's get to work. I want a big day today, but first, we've just had Donnie Rightside on the show breaking down NFL. So I'd love to hear your favorite spots and your favorite angles on this NFL card this weekend.
Sure, and the last game that Donnie was talking about. It's always good to see Donnie. I used to do a show with him every day, and I never see him anymore. So it's kind of fun for me to come on after him, so I get to critique what he says. But the last game he was talking about the Sunday night game with the Packers and the 49ers. I'm with him on the San Fran side in that game, and I locked in at 3 in that contest. Once the final injury reports come out, and the 49ers have a lot of these guys playing, as I think they will, I expect the number to move up. And if they don't, it's not going under 3. So I locked in at 3 already. I don't know that I trust Aaron Rodgers. We love Aaron Rodgers, right? I don't know that I trust him against a good pass defense. When you look at his numbers this year, when he's faced the better pass defense, it only happened a couple times. Packers offense hasn't worked. So I understand Green Bay off a bye. But more than anything, 2 weeks ago, the 49ers were at home on, I forget, a Sunday night or Monday night against Seattle. And on Monday night against Seattle. And it was like, I thought it was going to be their coming out party. But they were too banged up. Literally, they had too many injuries, and they ended up losing that game straight up. We haven't seen the 49ers really put on a show for a national audience yet. And this team's every bit as good as their record would indicate, and I think they'll be healthy. And I just put the two teams at different levels. San Fran, a legit Super Bowl contender. Green Bay's pretty good. That doesn't merit a 3 at home on a national TV game. I think the Niners will roll them.
Oh, I love hearing that. I love hearing that. Okay, Niners are going to make my card. Donkey Capping says, love when Teddy says Pats will lose. He hasn't said it yet. And when the Pats are at home, I've never heard Teddy say it. What's the spot on this Cowboys-Patriots play? Because before the rain was coming in, I was really thinking, because everybody was on the under, the market was going towards the under, I was thinking of taking an over here. I thought it was a sneaky over. Now I'm perplexed. How are you handling this giant Cowboys-Patriots game?
I'm handling it by watching it and not making a bet on it. I don't expect to, look. I think there are strong cases to make betting against New England. I think the Patriots are I have them ranked number 1. I think I have them a half point ahead of the Saints and a point or 2 ahead of the Ravens. So I have New England ranked number 1. But the markets seem to have the Patriots a little bit higher ahead of the rest of the field than I do, for what it's worth. I'm not sold on New England moving the ball up and down the field. I'm not sold on the Patriots defense being anywhere near as good as the stats would indicate. And I think there's vulnerability for New England and for Tom Brady in particular as the season progresses. The Patriots are not a team I'm looking to back. Talk about a bandwagon. They've got a 20-year betting bandwagon. It's pretty enormous. All that said, every time I try to step in front of the Patriots, I lose. And you bang your head against the wall. So when I make a case against New England, unless it's the Super Bowl and I have to give out a play, I leave it in the sidelines. And I don't trust the Patriots. I don't want to step in front of a team that has literally bonked me in the head 100 times and has covered 70% of the time as home favorites of less than a touchdown in the Belichick-Brady era. Pass. Easy pass.
I made so much sense. You made so much sense there. Okay, let's talk about the angles in this NFL card that you do like.
Well, I like San Fran. I've only made a couple of moves in the NFL. I laid 2.5 with the Raiders in New York. I found a rogue 2.5 there. At 3, I still like Oakland. I don't love them. But the Jets just beat the Giants and the Redskins. Okay, let's cool it on the Jets. Not to say that there is an upside for the Jets. There is. I'm not sure this is the week for that upside. And Oakland continues to be disrespected in the betting marketplace. And the Raiders are pretty good. And I thought 2.5 was cheap in that. Are there any 2.5s out there still? I know there was one that hung around yesterday. No, those are gone. Those got bought up. Yeah. So I laid 2.5 with Oakland. I got some Pittsburgh, Cincinnati under. That number's been steamed too. I think I have 38.5 in my pocket. It's not the best of the number. I don't like taking the best of the number, but I don't see a whole lot of touchdowns in that game. Where's the offense come from Steelers Bengals? And with Cincy, a team that when they're down 3 touchdowns are going to run Mixon 30 times. That's an under that made a ton of sense to me. And unders that make sense are the unders that die on bad beats. But this is one I just couldn't talk myself out of. And we'll talk about it Monday, but we got a little interest in the Rams on Monday night.
It's so funny. I don't want to say that I expected it, but that makes everybody. I've never seen a more public bet this year, and I don't have stats to back that up. But just from hearing everybody on the Ravens, I've never heard a more public situation than the Ravens right now. Teddy, so what happens with you and the Patriots happens with me and the Titans when they are supposed to win. Every time. So this week, they're off of a bye. They somehow get past the Chiefs. They were very fortunate. Mark Uncafer has a question in the chat. And so they're at -3. It's going on -120, -125. And I'm like, you know what? They just do me every time like this. And I'm like, just don't make a move yet. Now it's 3.5. Mark Uncafer says, I have Jacksonville versus Tennessee capped at Tennessee -6. Do you see value here, or am I overvaluing the move to Tannehill? What do you think of the Titans this week?
Tennessee's a one-way team for me, and it's real simple. I only want underdogs in Titans games. I will not lay points with the Titans, period. And go back and look. You don't want to be laying points with the Titans. That is a track record of failure. This is really interesting for this game. And we talk about regression to the mean, okay? When the Titans had Mariota at quarterback, they scored touchdowns and 53% of their red zone opportunities. About the NFL average, slightly below. With Ryan Tannehill, they've been in the red zone 10 times. They've scored 10 touchdowns. They now rank number 1 in the NFL in red zone touchdown rate. Jaguars ranked dead last, number 32 in the NFL in touchdown rate. So we say to ourselves, is this meaningful? Is this projecting forward? Or is this a little bit of static where the Jags have been better than their records would indicate and the Titans a little bit weaker than their records would indicate because Tennessee's got all these touchdowns that are no sure things and the Jags have been settling for field goals, which are no sure things? And the answer to that, I say yes. It is, I think, a regression waiting to happen. And, I mean, from a game plan situation last week, we saw, Doug Marrone was not happy that Leonard Fournette had 9 touches last week or something. And he's like, we're going to force feed this guy. We're not going to be in position where we're dropping back to pass over and over again with Foles. And Foles, the offense should be better with Foles. So I guess I have the slightest of leans to the Jags. I have not pulled the trigger.
Oh, this is so interesting. Okay, one final thing. We got to go to a different sport because I need help on 3 games that we didn't finish capping in NBA. Dolphins, Browns over. I was about to make it like my 2-unit play earlier in the week, and then I don't know why, the 15-mile-per-hour wind. There's enough issues defensively with these 2 teams that this should go over, right?
I certainly wouldn't talk you out of it. I mean, look, when you talk about some of these season-long stats, the Dolphins have allowed opponents to score on 49% of their possessions this year. That's by far the worst in the NFL. And in theory, this should be a game where Baker Mayfield gets opportunities to throw downfield and create some big plays. And, of course, we've seen Fitzmagic the Dolphins are going to chuck the football around a little bit. Over makes a lot of sense. And, of course, Cleveland missing two key guys from their defensive line that should help Miami offensively significantly, both running and passing. Over makes sense. My biggest concern is cold, gray day in November in Cleveland, and Miami doesn't show. That's my biggest concern for the over there. But maybe Browns team total over might be the best bet of the bunch.
I thought of that too, and that was my exact same fear. Okay, quickly, I'm just going to hammer some things at you very, very quickly. Seahawks, Eagles.
Yeah,
I want to take the under in Seahawks, Eagles. I'm off of a side at this point. What do you think of backing the under here? It's gone down a point since the opening line.
I don't have a strong opinion on it. Pass.
Lions, Redskins. I think there's going to be some points here. Is that just a recency bias because I cashed on the Jets, Redskins over? I want Lions team total over and the over possibly at 40.5.
I mean, who's playing quarterback for Detroit?
Driscoll, and he looks good. Good enough.
I mean, the Redskins offense is pretty weak, to put it mildly. The Lions defense is atrocious. Yeah, I mean, okay. It's not a game that I'm playing. I wouldn't talk you out of it.
Okay. And then we can bounce after Panthers, Saints. I want to go under the total here. I believe it's at 47.
I don't have a strong take. Carolina, with all the picks Allen threw last week and Rivera saying, hey, he's our guy and we trust him, one would anticipate a conservative game plan this week. Although Latimer's out for the Saints, which gives them a little bit more ability to chuck. But they've been chucking downfield all year. No strong take, sorry. I'll go quick. Pass.
No worries. No, I think I've got enough information for me to start hammering away. Okay, beautiful. Okay, now let's quickly go into NBA, and then we'll hit some more NCAA football. But I need you for NBA quickly. There's a couple games that we didn't get to. I've got looks that I really like. Why don't we start off by hearing what you're on in NBA, and then I'll ask you about these final games.
Sure. I mean, I only made one move so far, and I may make another before tip-off tonight. I played the Celtics plus the 5. I put that in my pocket. I want Boston off a loss. Every time, period. So that was, when the Celtics lose, I'm on them the next game. And we'll see how that rolls for a while. But that's, when I talk about my NBA strategy, you find something, you find it early, and you ride it every time. And right now, Celtics off a loss, I'm going to bet that every time I see it until proven otherwise. The one that I haven't played, I'm still tempted, man. And I may get there, is the Cavs. And I know we've lost with Cleveland over the last week. I also know that Dallas is not a team to lay doubles with. That Dallas is absolutely, they're coming off a game where they hit every freaking shot. And you saw Bayline's quotes after the Cavs' latest loss. One would anticipate some good effort from Cleveland tonight. And they'll have Thompson and Love in the lineup together, which they haven't had at least twice during this 4-game stretch of ugliness for the Cavs. So I think the spot is right for Cleveland. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I expect to do so. We're waiting on the market on that. It's sitting at 10. I think there's a decent chance I find it 10.5 before all said and done, maybe even higher than that. So I expect to be on Cleveland. I haven't done it yet.
Interesting. One of my moves with Denver is I don't back them after a very quality big win. I'd like to back them after they don't look good because I do think they rise up to their competition, but I don't like backing them after they do something like that 105-95 win over the Rockets. So that's very interesting that they collide in that spot. I don't know if I'm going to move all the way over to your side. Okay, so then another game that we didn't get a chance to cap was Warriors Jazz was one of the games that we missed. I'm happy that you talked Cleveland Dallas and Boston Denver. That's perfect. So we're pretty much done the card, but we didn't get to Golden State Utah. 16 points, 15.5 points for the Jazz at home. I don't want to sit here with the Warriors, but if they get Draymond Green back and they get Kevon Looney back and they have a little bit of fight in them after getting completely embarrassed, the Jazz don't care about smashing the Warriors here. What do you think about this Warriors-Jazz spot with a total that opened up at 211.5 down to 208?
So I think this Draymond Green something might be real. We were talking about last time. When Green's in the lineup, we bet the Warriors and or bet the under. And every time he's out of the lineup, you fade the Warriors and or bet the over. And Green's going to play tonight, and the Warriors are coming off a pretty embarrassing showing without him. One would think they would show up. And Utah, I don't do a lot. The NBA gets to 12 or higher. And there's a time of year that I do. Once we start getting into the dog days of the NBA season and the teams that have stopped giving effort or not giving effort every night, I'm comfortable laying doubles. Pre-Thanksgiving, I don't do it very often. So, I can't think of a time I laid 15, 16 points in an NBA game. Very rarely. So it's Golden State or pass. It's under or pass. I've chosen to pass both.
I think I might end up making a move on the Warriors. I can't take the under where it's gone right now. Are we certain that Green's back in the lineup tonight?
We certain. It was sitting the other night, second night of back-to-back rest.
Okay.
So there was no indication that I saw a quote for him talking about this game. And Utah offensively is not a team. I understand how good their defense is. They're still a work in progress on offense. They go through these droughts. Second unit got badly outplayed the other night, too, which is a concern. Pass.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Warriors here, plus 16. Getting a plus 16 at minus 110 available at Pinnacle, our friends at Penny. I'm going to go ahead and take the Warriors plus 16 at minus 110 after that terrible embarrassment. One thing that Tomarino Tomor used to do when I came down here is every time a team lost by 30 points, every time he would blindly take them the next game, and it was hitting at such a high percentage for him. Maybe this won't. But Teddy, I'm all over the Lakers tonight. The Thunder did some things that I would, if I was coaching them, I'd be like, no, don't say that, don't do that, don't do that. And I love that Schroeder did not allow AD to put his balls in the face of Nerlens Noel. I like that. But then going out there and saying, look what Burton did to slow down LeBron. Look at Burton gamed up and slow down LeBron. And now you have to play LeBron again? I'm on Lakers minus 4.5. Thunder team total under 103.5. Yes, the Thunder look great on the road in those 2 games in LA. But now you've poked the bear, and they're going to beat you in front of your own fans because of it. I like that spot. I'm also on the team total over in the Hornets. Another thing I love doing is when a team has their worst shooting game of the season, 37% against, and then Borrego talking nonstop about distribution. I like backing their team total over, especially against such a bad defensive team as the Wizards. But that was a play that my man Illwise sent over to me early this morning. I was like, oh, God, I like it. Okay, let's move into college football. We've already heard for today. Let me move over to today at sportsbookraview.com, SBR odds page. We're going to go over Teddy's looks in a second, but we already know he is on Colorado State this evening, and I'll pull up the sheet that shows what exactly you got here on Colorado State. Let me move it right now. Here we go. But Colorado State, you got it +7. What a job getting that +7. God, what a job getting that +7. Good work. No 7s on the board right now, but it did open at 7. Opened at 7 at Pinnacle, amongst other books. Great job. And why are you on Colorado State? And would you still take them at 6.5?
Yes and yes. Thank you. But honestly, that's my job. The fact that many of you guys out there have real jobs. Not all of you, but many of you. And that means that sometimes you have other stuff that you have to do. The only other stuff I have to do ever is sometimes I got to be on air, otherwise, I'm supposed to get these numbers. And sometimes if something happens on air and I miss a number and, I'm pissed off. We're walking around the rest of the day just like you, Jimmy. But most of the time, when I'm waiting for a number, I can get that number, and when I think it's going to be there, I can lock in on it. So when I get a number that's not widely available, I consider that, to me, that's my job. I'm supposed to be doing that. I've been doing this long enough that I'm supposed to be, not getting the worst of it on a regular basis. And for those of you out there, it's a process to get there, but you can get there, and in which case you'll be getting the best of the number routinely. You asked me why I like Colorado State tonight. I think they're going to show up. That's number one, okay? Obviously, border war, it's an intense rivalry game. The Rams coaching staff this week had Wyoming celebrating on their field it was like a Twitter link. Wyoming was singing this derogatory song to the tune of the Colorado State fight song, stomping around on their field. And that was on a continuous loop all week in practice. All right. Colorado State's fired up. Not that Wyoming isn't, but Colorado State's, there's not that much difference between these two teams. Wyoming's a little bit better defensively. You know, they're playing with a backup quarterback. Vanderwaal's no good. You know, so I have the better quarterback. And we're also getting Colorado State off what I thought was a very misleading final last week. They hung tough against Air Force, and a long late pick six made all the difference against the point spread in that game. So put all these facts together. I think O'Brien's going to chuck the football around successfully. It's not supposed to be an awful night weather-wise, and I think that it makes sense for Colorado State to hang around here and with a chance at the upset. So Rams +7 was a pretty easy choice for me.
Yeah, Rams +7 was a good move. Gotta change gears on the show quickly here. Our guy Elliot V, original low bagger, guy we care about very, very much, just said devastating news just received. My girlfriend being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, left lung, breast, bones. Please say a prayer for her. I know for certain that everybody, all the low baggers, will do exactly that. Elliot V. Hate hearing that news. We've had Vegas Gun and Shadow inspiring us with their strength and handling adversity with such strength, and it's been so inspiring. And I know that your girlfriend will do the exact same thing and fight this. And while she's fighting this, we will be sending as much positivity and light and positive prayers your way. And but that's what we've learned from them, is to fight. And I know that your girlfriend will do that, Elliot. God, just hate reading that. But I believe in you guys, and I believe in the fight. And they've taught us so much about dealing with adversity. Before I was with them, if anything had happened to me, I would just wallow like a little bitch in the corner. And they've taught me not to do that and to stand up and fight. And I know that you will be doing that. So sending as much love and strength your way, Elliot V. Tough stuff, but you have a family here that will be sending as much light and positivity your way as possible. Okay, let's keep rolling into college football. And now we're going to go over the spots on the card that Teddy has already handed out to us. And they started with the win with Eastern Michigan at +4.5. He gave us Eastern Carolina -13.5. Illinois +14, Texas +5.5, San Jose State -4.5, Nevada +14. He was that was the spot when you went. Sorry, let me go over this again, because there was a spot where you backed off of a play and took the other side.
That was Texas Baylor.
That was Texas Baylor. Okay, there we go. Yes, Baylor -5.5. Those are the stars beside that. Texas Baylor. Okay, Nevada +14, Memphis -14, Tulsa -2.5, and Colorado State +7. Are there any additions to your card? Are there any bets there that you've given us already that you don't feel comfortable with? And are there any bets there that you're getting more bullish with?
So that's an excellent question. I got off the Texas Baylor. I'm pretty bullish on Nevada, I got to say. I was reading stuff on Fresno's injury report's ugly. The Wolfpacker at solid wager. I'll just leave it at that. Take a little money line, just for fun. I added 2 more bets. I took San Diego State, and I don't know why I'm so heavy in the Mountain West this week, but I am. I took San Diego State +3 at Hawaii in late night bailout special action. I think the Aztecs defense is good enough, and I think the Aztecs offense is good enough, and I think San Diego State's the better of the 2 teams. So I took the 3 in that game, and I took UCLA over the total 65.5. That's betting number 165, 166. I think the Trojans will have success throwing the football around. They've gotten into a nice rhythm offensively over the last couple of weeks. I don't see UCLA stop them. But I think the Bruins are going to play with pace this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if they run USC out of the gym a little bit and move the football. They're going to play fast. I think we see touchdowns between the Trojans and the Bruins. I like that game over 65.5.
All right, we have questions coming in. I have your additions here, and that was 65.5, over 65.5.
9, 10, yeah, total of 10 plays. There was the 11th is the one I got off.
Yeah,
but 10 plays for the week in college football.
All right, we have questions coming in. Questions coming in quickly, and some interesting ones that aren't necessarily about. Well, why don't we start with John Williams? But I've copied and pasted your questions, and we don't have a lot of time, but we can get through a few questions. John Williams says, Jimmy, can you please ask Teddy what info he has on why Louisiana Tech players are suspended for Saturday?
I mean, it was last week. So this Louisiana Tech deal is not a minor deal, all right? Now there's the integrity guys have gotten involved, which is a big concern for Skip Holtz because the info came out about the suspensions. The betting market started to move 24 hours before the suspensions were announced. And that's not supposed to happen. And that's Holtz now under fire. And in terms of what they did, I don't know what they did. Haven't looked for it, don't care. What I know is that the guys got suspended. They didn't show up last week. And I worry about them showing up this week. La Tech is a red flag team right now. Can't touch them.
Would you fade them?
I would only fade them. If I'm getting involved, I can only fade them. But okay. No, I'm not sold on, I think La Tech has more talent than UAB, and I won't lay with UAB in this spot, even with their quarterback back.
Okay. Next question, and I'm not going to go into order. Just going to slip out of order for this one thing. But James Reno says, when should a person hedge? I need ECU -7 to hit a teaser. Should I hedge with UConn +15?
You should okay. Your time to hedge is when you no longer like the position you're in, or when you're in position to make a significant score and you want to make sure you lock in some profit. All right. If you've got a teaser that's going to pay you a significant amount, yeah, sure, you can lock in and you have a chance to cash both, obviously, with +15 and -7 or -7.5. But when you're hedging, what you're doing is you're giving away profit when you win. So if you don't like the play anymore, hedge. If you like the play, maybe you roll with it.
Well said. Well put. The next spot question comes from Scott. It says, ask Teddy about Tennessee being dogs to Missouri. What do you think about Tennessee being dogs to Missouri? I can't find the number right here on the card. What do you think about Tennessee being dogs to Missouri?
It's like it's near the bottom. So when we compare the current form of these two teams, it's night and day difference. Missouri has been god-awful for the better part of the last month, and Tennessee has certainly made amends for their rough start and has been a bet-on team since everyone said they were the worst team ever and made fun of them, which happens a lot in college football. Remember when Michigan was the worst team ever and after the Wisconsin game, and all they've done is cover spreads, and Tennessee's been a great moneymaker. But here's the great but for this game, and it is a great but. Look at who they played. Missouri has played a brutal slate of quality defenses in recent weeks. Tennessee, not so much. So I'm not stepping in front of the momentum with two teams with complete opposite momentum here, but I also recognize this is a step down in class for Missouri compared to what they've been facing defensively. Not a game I'm going to play. Good luck if you do.
RB Fern says, how does Teddy feel about a Pac-12 team, Oregon or Utah, making the college football playoff?
I personally think that the winner of Oregon-Utah, should those are they locked in? I think they're locked in. But if they're not locked in, I expect them to be locked in after this weekend. It's an interesting position with Alabama 5, and they still have Auburn. And then, Oregon-Utah at 6 and 7. I would expect one Pac-12 team to get in before two SEC teams this year, assuming that one of those two teams wins out. That's what I would assume. But I don't even know what the formula is. I pay very little attention to those rankings. But I have to think that a one-loss Pac-12 team would get in over Alabama.
Farouk Islam says, please ask Teddy, does totals for college football matter to the team? He says, please ask him. I never ask him. And does a coach or quarterback play part in it going over or under? The final part I don't fully understand, but do you think the players on the team know what the total for the game is, Teddy?
Not necessarily. No, I hope not. I wouldn't want them to. They'll often know what the point spread is or have an idea if they're favored or underdogs. Total-wise, I wouldn't expect that the players know, and I wouldn't want that. I'd rather the players not know. It's not about especially with totals. But so I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know how much they care about the total. We've heard that the only times that they know about the spread are when they're big dogs and being embarrassed. And that came, from my uncle, Gary Beeben, who's quarterback at UCLA. He said that anytime you're on a team and you're being disrespected by a double-digit point spread, that they all talk about it in the locker room and say, this is what they think. Are we going to let them be right and then go out and hammer? But totals, I don't know if they care about totals. Next question comes from Ganjapreneur. Says, ask Teddy how he feels about Wake Forest at -7. There's now a 7.5 at a couple books. Wake Forest home dog to Duke, rotation number 127, 128.
Wake's a home favorite against Duke.
Oh, sorry.
And it's a game I have zero opinion on. I don't know I shouldn't say I don't know. Duke stinks right now, but Wake's not that much better. So maybe Wake can chuck the football around. We've seen Wake have success earlier in the year against lesser defenses, chucking the football around. Maybe they do it here. I guess if I had to play, maybe Wake. But you talk about the teams off the embarrassing losses, off the 30-point losses, and you bet on them next time out. In basketball, Duke's off a pretty embarrassing loss. No action for me.
Okay, no action there. And then finally, we've got to put a bow on this show. Eddie Euler says, Teddy, my local has San Jose State -6.5. Would you still lay that? And we know that, I should say, I know that DJ Big Boss, his 2-unit play in the Pick 6 contest is San Jose State -6.5. Would you still lay San Jose State at -6.5?
Yeah, I put it out as a free play for the clients at 6.5. Even though I got a better number on it. Anything less than a touchdown is a bargain in a game that I think they'll win comfortably.
Yeah, I got to make a move on that. And then the final question comes in from my guy Reese. Reese says, what does Teddy think about Oklahoma State, West Virginia? Oklahoma State opening up -7.5, now -5.5. This total opened up at 60.5 and has gone all the way down to 54.5. Wow, a big 6-point drop at Pinnacle. What do you think of OK State, West Virginia?
Now, Jimmy, you and I both know that when you say, all right, this is the last game, you ask me 3 more after that. It's just the way it works. We try to squeeze them in, and it cracks me up every time. You're like, all right, last game. No, seriously, this is the last game. All right, one more question. It's funny. I think there's weather, so you may want to be aware of weather that's driving the total down and perhaps driving the side down. Okie State's a team I've gotten wrong all year. I am not trying to beat myself in the head with Okie State games anymore. I'll be passing. And we'll look at them again for their bowl game.
All right, look at them again for your bowl game. Well, if that went fast enough, maybe we could fit in Paco Healy's question.
Yeah, we can.
About Cal Stanford. Cal Stanford. Let's close on this Cal Stanford spot here. I don't have it in front of me. I'm not doing the best job at giving you the rotation numbers. Cal Stanford, Teddy, you got an angle?
168.
Okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. Do you have an angle on Cal Stanford?
Costello is out. Garbers is still questionable. He's probably going to be a game-time decision. I know this. I can't lay points with Stanford. But of course, the markets can't either. That line's dropping like a rock this morning. Be pass for me.
Cal or pass. That opened at -3, now 1.5. There's still a 2.5 in Intertops. This total went from 42 to 40. Teddy, what a treat it is to roll with you every day of the week, man. We just cherish this. Cherish it, cherish it. Mark Uncafer says, hope Teddy knows how much we appreciate it. He tells us to pass on a game rather than have all the answers on every game. Yeah, we just love working with you. What a treat it is to roll. And to go over his spots one more time, Eastern Michigan +4.5, which cashed. East Carolina -13.5, Illinois +14. Then we have the Texas and then the Baylor buyback. San Jose State -4.5, Nevada +14. He also said you might want to put a little nibble on the money line. He was interested in Marshall early in the week, just interested. He didn't get to the window there. Tulsa -2.5. Colorado State +7, and then today San Diego State +3, and USC UCLA over 65.5. Teddy, what a treat it is to work with you. Please follow Teddy on Twitter at Teddy_covers. Very active and fun to be around on the weekend. Teddy, thank you so much. Let's have a giant weekend, my friend, and come back Monday feeling good about ourselves.
I would love it. There's nothing I'd rather have more, dude. You could say, you'd rather have a bowl of ice cream or 50 lines of cocaine in front of you. No. I want a monster weekend. That's what I'm rooting for.